this is Demi. Welcome to the very first episode of Rising Filipino Creators. The goal of this video series is to introduce to you to the people, to the Filipino creators in our very beloved country, Philippines, and share to you their experiences and their stories so that you get inspired to work more and pursue to your dreams, regardless if you are here in our country, the Philippines, because most of us actually make our countries our very own reason why we're not successful. So we're breaking that limiting beliefs. And our very first guest for this video series is someone very special to me. She has supported me all throughout my online journey, and I have met her 2 years ago. She's not only a very successful Philippine author, but is also a TV host and a professional speaker all around the Philippines. So help me welcome Carolyn Gutierrez-Abanggan.
Yay! Hello, Demi!
This is so funny. Ka-funny. Oh, we're so loud. Oh. Alright, so hi Ate, welcome.
Yes, Demi.
Thank you for coming over. Finally.
The first time we met, that was actually last year, no? Or this year, yes.
Very first one we met.
But we never had the time to really talk.
Never had the time to talk, never had the time to meet because we're so busy with our lives, and truly understandable because working women.
Yes!
Working women, alright. Okay, so I think my very first question here for you, not really question, but I'd like to know really, because we did not get the chance to also talk about this. I want to know exactly, how did you become an author? Like, when you were a kid, what motivated you to become one? And how did you start writing? So, if you can share that.
Yeah, I think it started when I was 9 years old. Because I was motivated by my mom to start this journaling diary, writing on my diary.
Okay.
So at age 9 until I got into college, I was writing daily. Like I was recording everything that happened to me. If you could see my journals, they're really very thick because I would put there everything like candy wrappers, bus tickets, and I would give into the detailed account of what happened to me today, all of those things. So I think that's the foundation that I realized how important it is for me to really bleed on paper, because that was my outlet as well, and also the creative side of it. And then that's also the reason why as a young girl, I also, during my elementary and high school, even to college, I was part of the school organ. I was either the managing editor, or I was a feature writer, or I was part of the literature section of our school magazine. So I think that's it. I started way too early.
I see. And then you also, you mean school organ as in your school paper?
Yes.
I see. You were the managing editor?
Yes.
I see.
When I was in UST, I think I had a 1-year stint at the University of Santo Tomas. I was part of the Varsitarian, the literature section. So that's where I learned that I could also write, poetry, because prior to that, I was doing a lot of features and straight news. So different disciplines.
I see. So now you already have solo authored 3 books and co-authored 8 books. Wow! That's a lot of work. So it's so amazing. How did you actually get into a point of getting a physical book? Because if you do not know, in the Philippines, it's very hard to do that here. You have to she mentioned it to me that you have to have connections. So what motivated you to really get it on print?
Actually, the first motivation came from my husband. It was, my husband and I are actually corporate trainers, and one time his mentor, who was an American, told him, "Erwin, if you really wanted to make it big, or you really want to make it right, you should write a book." And so he took it seriously, and then Erwin told me, "We need to publish a book." And I told him, "It's not that easy." And he said, "But it's not impossible." So he came up with his first motivational book, which is entitled Almost Is the Same as Never. And I assisted him. We had no connections. We didn't know who to ask and where to go, which is had our own research, a lot of research done on the internet, and we asked people, and then slowly the answers came to us. And then we took an editor to edit the book, and then even the National Bookstore, which is the biggest book chain here in the Philippines, we just contacted them and asked what's the process, and we found out that it wasn't that difficult. And then another thing which is sort of like a barrier here is I need to get this book copyrighted, right? But then you don't know, sometimes people think that it would cost them a lot. And then when we found out it would only cost them, very meager amount. And then we were surprised that it was that easy and it was that possible. So that's when it started. And we both realized that anybody can write a book and anybody can publish a book. So 2 years ago, after college, I decided to really go into journalism. But my parents, especially my mom, because you know how it is for writers if you are not well known. So she was so worried about me, like, there's no money in writing.
True.
You better quit that before it's too late. And so I had to follow my mom, and I think it was a good advice. It was a wise advice at that time. So I took it, and I said, okay, I just have to park it for a while. But then it never left me, the desire to write. But 2 years ago, and I'm almost in my late 30s right now, I realized that I was missing a lot. You have this thing in you, like, I wanted to do this, so there's no time anymore for procrastination.
Yes.
So 2 years ago, I decided I really wanted to publish my own book. That's where it started. And for like 2 years, there was this discipline, like the discipline you have right now. Demi's! Wow. I really, really admire Demi when it comes to discipline and focus. So for 2 years, I really focused my energy on writing. I have a full-time job. I go around and train. I also have my 4 kids to take care of, but I never use them as my excuse because it's now or never.
I see. That's really great. You never use anything as an excuse. So what are the obstacles that came into your way while you were trying to reach your dreams? Like the obstacles, is it the mother life? Is it your job? Is it the technical aspect of things?
I think it's a combination of those things you said. There's really the limitation when you are a full-time mom, you're a full-time worker.
Okay.
Because you really have to juggle everything.
Yeah.
Strike a balance. And then another thing is, I think the worst enemy, really, the worst barrier is actually yourself, because I went through a lot of self-doubt.
Yes.
If you started here, listening to other people, they would tell you, that poetry doesn't sell. What are you doing? There's no money in that. Again, you see, it never changed. The way people perceive things, their mindset, it's just there. So if I listen to them the way I listened to people before, I could have done more with my craft, with my art. But it's never too late, I guess. So for me, it's really your decision, my decision. If I really wanted to do this, then I have to pursue it.
I see. I can totally relate, because if you do not know, I tried to become an author too. That's exactly how we met. So 2 years ago, I think it's over 2 years ago now. So I was trying to write my very own poetry book as well, and that was also when I started making book covers, and then I started scouring for clients on the internet and Facebook groups, while I was also nurturing my connections as soon-to-be author. And then I met you.
Yes.
And then she was the one who was pushing me. So like, where's your poetry book? I'm waiting for it, kaya. She's always like, where is it? I have to get the copy. I really want it. And like, so far, she's the only person who motivated me to really finish the book, but still I didn't finish it. The focus has been divulged na ba? It's like completely different path that I'm taking now. So it's like, I will still publish a book for sure.
And the good thing is that you discovered your real passion for designing.
I think back in the day when I wanted to really become an author, it was more of like ego for me, because of course, author. I really wanted to have that that authority, but and then later on I found out that my passion was really teaching. So that's why I'm creating more videos, because this is where I felt like I can actually help more people in teaching. So yeah, but for sure I will still become an author. I will still publish.
Yes, you will. You owe it to yourself.
Yes, I owe it to myself. I owe it to my younger self, but I will still need to publish like a non-fiction book maybe. But right now I have 19 chapters in my hands.
Yay!
It's not finished.
But you've been producing a lot of ebooks.
Not really. Ano lang, mga PDF guides, but not really like the real books. No, I haven't. I have one, the author marketing secrets,
Which I downloaded.
which she downloaded.
And I'm using that.
Even though I
Very
do not
helpful
have
to me. Yeah, it's been very helpful to me.
Yeah, the reason why I stopped promoting that ebook, the author marketing secrets book that I wrote, was because a lot of people were questioning my credibility.
Really?
Yes, because they were asking like, oh, you're not even an author. You're not even a best-selling author. Why are you making an author marketing secrets book? Like it doesn't, there's no credibility to it. So I stopped. That was like, I was so balat sibuyas.
Oh.
I'm very sensitive to judgment. So it was what really discouraged me to stop publishing a book. And I also started questioning the target market that I was doing services from, because there were self-publishers, and then most of them, they really didn't have the money to spend more on book covers. So I started questioning everything after that.
But a better thing actually came out after that.
Yes.
You are very successful in what you're doing. I want to do what she's doing actually.
Right. Thank you. All right. So apart from that, also, if you do not know, last May 18, her love story was actually featured in Maalaala Mo Kaya. It's crazy because she only posted the entire story of her entire love story on Facebook with pictures, with all those kinds of things, and then it went viral, and then there's a writer that found it.
Yeah, the researcher of that TV show.
Yes. So can you tell us more about it? How are you feeling? Like as an ordinary person, you think that it was completely impossible to happen. So how was that for you?
Correct. It never occurred to me, never crossed my mind. But then, Earl and I would frequently visit conferences, and we would talk to the youth and the single adults, and we would always insert if there's time about our love story, and people they had a clamor, what really happened. So they really wanted to find out the details. And so one time I decided, okay, I will write this story once and for all for people to read. So that's when last year I posted it, and then it picked up and kind of viral. And then also last year, I think around December, when somebody messaged me, and I did not realize that message was sitting in my inbox for the last 3 months.
Ooh.
And she said, "Where I'm from Maalaala Mo Kaya, the researcher from this TV program, and I'd like to feature your story in our show. So would you be interested?" And that was posted 3 months ago. I never got to reply. So during Christmas time, that's when I saw it, and then I replied. And it took us again another 2 to 3 months before she replied. But then when she did, she said, okay, let's start this. So come April and May, we had these interviews over the phone that would last for like hours every day.
Oh.
And then I think it was May already when we started. They had the shooting, and then we also attended with the real celebrities there.
Yes.
It's surreal for me, and it was really crazy. It's a crazy feeling because it made me an instant celebrity. But whenever we would go to certain places, and especially we would talk to now the young people, because I guess the numerous hosts of young people actually watched it. So they were motivated, they were inspired. And everywhere we go, they would like, can we take photos with you? Prior, it's like, can you take photos of us? And now we're included in the photos. So I guess, yeah.
So what was it? So now you have already broken your limiting belief that you can actually, actually use TV as part of your publicity as an author or as a speaker. So after that moment that you were already on TV, what are your next goals? Like as an author, as a public speaker, like what more do you want to have, or what more are the things that you want to achieve in the years to come?
Yeah, one of the lessons that I got from doing this is that it's really us. creating that ideal career for us. I used to think that there existed the perfect career for you, but you just have to, when it's not available, you're the one who's gonna create it.
Yes.
And then you don't have to, you just have to, Don Strobel, is that how you pronounce his name? But he's a leading millennial, and he wrote a book, Promote Yourself. I've been reading that book, and he said that in this day and age, the person who has the most connections win.
That's true.
And I cannot, and it stuck with me, and that's where I kept repeating it to myself. The more connections, the more useful connections that I have, that's where I could really take off and with my career. And so it started last year when I was discovered. Actually, I was discovered when I first launched my poetry book. You see, Demi, sometimes you just don't know what happens next. But when the decision came to me that I wanted to publish my book, and I did, and I launched it, and then I invited the media to come over and cover the event. I had no expectation. I was just hoping that maybe they can feature my launch, but I was so surprised because 1 week after, the general manager of a local TV station back there in the zone, he contacted me and he said, "Would you like to do a TV show with us?" And that was, how on earth would I didn't know. It was one door opened to another, and with just one decision that you wanted to do this, and all of the good things happen. So for me, I guess, just like what it's a trite expression, but sky is the limit. Sky is the limit. For me, I'm not really contented with what I'm doing right now. I think there's more that I can do with consistency, more creativity perhaps, and getting some more technical expertise on matters that I need to have. I guess, especially, I started as an indie author, so I still have to be noticed by these publishers, and slowly I'm taking that road.
So you did not have people helping you with the marketing aspect of your book, or
no.
So you were really the one doing the work.
Yes, it started that way, and then I began collaborating with, for example, with poetry. I began collaborating with international writers. Do you know that the very first book that I published, which is Bards from the Far East, I just contacted people, Filipino American authors, and I just asked them if they wanted to collaborate with me. And me in this industry, who is me? Who is I? I mean, it's so hard to get these people, but then you would be surprised that there are people who would accommodate you just because you share the same passion.
Yeah.
So that opened the door, and now because I have this collaboration, you promote them and then they promote you back. It's a give and take right now.
I see. Okay, so going back a little bit to your craft, I have read. She actually lent me one of her books, Yearnings. That's her one of her poetry books, and I've read it. I've finished it. I'm proud to say I finished it. Regardless my busy schedule, I really finished
Thank you,
it.
appreciate
I was so stunned. Her words are very strong and very compelling. Like, she's using the words that can really get you goosebumps. There was one, I forgot the title of the poem, but there was one that you were talking something about more of our society as a country. So I think that's how I was able to analyze it, the way I imagine things, how you were writing it. How did you come up with such strong emotions and feelings in your poetry? Like, how does it come out to you? Is it something natural, or is it something like rant turned into poetry?
I guess it's the collective experiences I have had, especially growing up here in the Philippines. You just have to open your eyes and see the reality of what's going on, the plight of the poor people, the plight of our working women abroad, and the plight of many Filipinos. And I'm very, it's a subject that really not only interests me, but I have a grave concern, particularly with how we can really improve as a nation. Because
Me
know it.
too.
We're here. Life here is more challenging to those who do not have access to the right information, right?
Yes.
Sometimes people want to change, sometimes people want to progress, but they just don't know where to start. And I think that's also should be one of the advocacies of people who get to be educated in the country, to really reach out and work with these people who needed help.
And you were also like talking about this situation of our country. We're not getting political.
Yes.
Just here we're just trying to, of course, as this is actually the advocacy that I have, is because I really want the Filipinos to really strive harder, because we're full of talented people. Like, this is the reason why I interviewed her, because I noticed that we share the same perspectives in life. When we met February 1st, we were talking about these things.
Yes.
So we totally agree with the fact that we are a country of very talented people. We just don't know how to use our talents.
Given the right environment and
Yes.
opportunity, we are actually very competitive.
But do you think that we can do it? Like, how can we, if you think we can do it, how can we actually do it? Like what you did before, you did not have any other people helping you with your marketing and your books. So if you think you can do it, what can you tell other people? Like, can they do it? What can they do so that
Yeah.
they can pursue their dreams?
Some of the things that I teach also, because I conduct career orientation to students, I keep telling them, what are the things that you read? What are the books that you read? Can really influence you a lot. Who are the people you are with? Because if you work with the champions, you become a champion eventually. You work with the losers, you become a loser eventually. And then you have to find the right environment. If it's not there, you have to find it. You have to get out of it. You just cannot stay there and rot with the rest. So it has to be a decision. My one of my advocacies as well, and I'm very thankful that it's also the line of job that I have right now, because I am involved in the self-reliance program in our church. And what we do is we invite people to attend mindset changing, know how we prepare them to get education, to get better jobs, get into enterprises, and how to handle their finances. So it's like a 3-month program where people need to attend once a week, so that they can start learning and forget about the things that they learned before. Alvin Toffler said, you have to, what did he say? The most successful, the illiterate ones are not the one. Well, how did they say that? But you have to learn and learn and relearn. So I guess that's it.
Yeah. Okay. So with your advocacy right now as a speaker, and you're talking about mindset, how do you think you're also teaching to millennials, right?
Yes.
So millennials are often concluded as like people who are entitled, and people who doesn't have grit and just would randomly quit the job because they don't like the job. But what do you for you as a person who is teaching millennial, and one of your advocacies is that, what do you think millennials really are?
Oh wow. Pang Miss
Miss
Universe.
Universe.
I mean, like you're a go-getter. Most millennials are go-getter. Yeah, probably because they jump from one, they say they would jump from one job to another. But I think it's more of them finding, you are really finding into what is really my, what is really my mission in life. You want to know your why, because that's why. And you have seen the former generations, how we are, former generation, like our pros and cons, our positive and our, negatives. And I think the millennials really have a lot of potential. In an army, they are really the generals sent, reserved for the last inning, for the last fight. And I am admiring that kind of heart to really go for something. But then again, I guess what you need is just the right mentor. The right mentor.
Do you have right mentor also?
I have a lot of mentors. I have a spiritual mentor, financial mentor. I do.
Like
I do
really
have.
personal mentors that you have?
Yes, because I owe it to them as well. If they are not there, I don't know.
I see.
Mentors are really very important.
So I went to this path without a mentor, and I only read books. So I think
The book is your mentor. The books are your mentor.
I see. The books are really the what really opened my mind to things, because I feel like when we are most of the time are always a common excuse. My younger self's excuse has always been like, when you are here in this country, like what more can you do? Like there's really nothing that you can do, knowing that the economy of the country that we're living, the cost of living that we have, the lesser opportunities. But really, I broke that limiting belief myself, same thing as what you have done. So I guess my question now is, how can you what can you say to the people who feel like they're stuck in this country and they don't have anything else to do, or that they're hopeless because there are no opportunities around?
We keep hearing that there's no opportunity in our country. We better work abroad, and we witness that every now and then. We have graduates whose only desire is to just get out of the country because they would have better lives. It takes time, Demi. It really takes time for a person to really nurture himself or herself. Education is the key. Education is the key. Because, for example, right now, I in my trainings, the overall perception or the belief is that you still have to get a college education, you still have to get a degree, and then you will become very successful. And that's really not the case right now. It has changed the landscape. You know that. You are an online. You do freelancing. You know the difference. You know how much a typical employee who goes to the office from 8 to 5 p.m. and gets stuck in the traffic with nothing else to do after home because he's so tired. And I keep telling the young people, you have to discover more, that there's more than this. This is not really what we used to think that worked before may not really work today. And that's true. So we just have to keep our minds open, and we have to educate the people. When they ask me, but you are a college graduate, and I would tell them, of course I'm a college graduate. And I have opportunities because I am a college graduate. But the thing right now is, if you want financial success, that's different from getting a college diploma. Because a lot of people think that when you have a college diploma, that would answer all your financial problems. And so they would get into master's degree, and then they get a doctorate degree. And then only to find out that, where's the opportunity? Where's the better income? It's not happening because you are not answering the problem. That would not solve your financial problem. And so one of the aspects, I guess, also it's me and my husband's campaign as well, is teach people financial literacy.
Yes, I need to learn that more. So going back a little bit to what you were saying earlier about bachelor's degree. So I also I'm a college graduate, and most of my classmates rather, have really pursued the masters and the doctorate,
which is good if they have the time, right?
Yes. But as a parent, do you think it's still important to really pursue the doctorate degrees with the opportunities that we currently have right now in the internet?
Right now, because I'm a mother of 4,
Yes.
I send my children to regular school right now. But if you're going to ask me what I would encourage my children to do after their senior high school, is to get another technical or vocational course to get them employed immediately. And then I would encourage them, if they want to pursue higher education, that's the time. The thing here is that when you take the natural course, which is what most of the people doing here, is that they would, what age would you be graduating if you will really take from senior high school to
From senior to
college?
23, 25. That
And
age.
but if you are not really good, if you were not a good student, did not have the expertise, did not have experience. When you go out and look for a job, they would look for experienced individuals. And most of our young people do not have jobs. They do not have jobs while they're working. They're not working while studying. And so they do not have any experience. And that's where they really lose it. I'd go for someone who has a technical expertise in something rather than get a college graduate if I were an employer, because I know that that person would contribute more than the one with theories only.
That's true. Okay, so I have my last two questions, but before that, where can my audience find you and your books?
Ay, yay! In the Philippines, I'm still working on getting the rest of the books published on the national bookstores. But yes, all of my books are actually on Amazon. You just type, because I used to names, you type Ayo Gutierrez, and the other one is Carolyn Gutierrez-Abanggan, and you can see the list of the books that are loaded. I uploaded there on Amazon. Yeah.
Yay. Okay, so I also will be posting like a couple of pictures in the video so that they will get accustomed to the book cover, so that when they see it they can be like, bye.
Thank you, Dem.
So my last two questions, the name actually of my company, I'm still going to have it on SEC, but I really wanted it to name Create and Rise.
Nice.
Create and Rise Philippines. So what do you think is the thing that Filipinos should create more and rise from?
Create more and rise from. Okay, I think let's go to the create first.
Okay.
There's no limit when it comes to creativity. Because if you say these are the only things that work, you don't know unless you do it.
Yes.
Like, for example, I have friends who are artists, and when people tell them do not do that, because a lot of people are doing that, but then you have something different to offer, then you go do it. It really, there's no ceiling to that. You create your own.
Yeah.
Of course, take into consideration that the things that you like to do, the things that you love to do, but also the factor where it says that there should be a paying market. If you want it to be a very lucrative, profitable career, then you have to consider the market as well.
That's really nice.
Rise from mediocrity.
Yes.
Rise from all those limiting beliefs.
Yes.
Rise from self-doubt. One of my favorite motivational speakers is Les Brown, and he said, do not let other people's opinion of you become your reality.
Yes.
So we have to break free from the chains that bind our creativity, that binds our intellectual capacity. So yeah, it all begins with how we really train our minds. Because if you have the right mindset, you'll go far in this life, I guess.
Okay, yay! Thank you
I was
very
serious
much. She was carried away. Right, but that's really beautiful. It's so nice to have you here as my first guest in Rising Filipino Creators. I'm very happy that we finally have our very first project together. Yes.
Looking forward to more.
Yes. So if you want to learn more about Carolyn and her books, you can like her page at Carolyn.
That's Ayo Gutierrez.
Ayo Gutierrez. And on Facebook page. So I can also link that in the description so you can check her out. And thank you so much. I will see you in the next one.
Thank you so much.
Yes.